Welcome back. You're now on the Entrepreneur Spotlight on the Weekend Show. Filmmaking in Nigeria dates back to as early as the 19th century and into the colonial era. The evolution of the Nigerian film industry is generally classified in four main eras: the colonial era, the golden age era, video film era, and the emerging new Nigerian cinema. The Nigerian film industry experienced a second major boom in the 90s with the release of the video film Living in Bondage in 1992. And the industry peaked in the mid-2000s to become one of the largest film industries in the world in terms of number of annual film productions, placing it ahead of the United States and second place to India. And on this note, we have Mr. Paul Cast, a trailblazing film director and writer. Good morning, welcome to the Weekend Show.
Good morning, it's great to be here, thank you.
Great to have you. So can you tell us what inspired you to become a filmmaker in Nigeria?
Okay, I know as early as 11 years old, I used to be very particular about storytelling. I used to scribble on every single thing to find my hands on, maybe a piece of paper or cardboard or something like that. I would just, write stories on different things. I could make story out of anything, out of a cup, out of a table or something. But also as I grew up, I realized how I saw the impacts of films basically on culture and shaping mindsets. And I said to myself, that's what I want to do, because I saw how much you can actually evoke emotions of excitement and also all kinds of bringing societal issues to now recognizable forms in storytelling, basically. So that's what inspired me to go into film.
So you're very passionate about storytelling.
Very, very, absolutely very passionate about it.
I see. Yeah. So you've been a filmmaker for how many years now?
About 3 years now.
3 years, yeah, amazing.
3.5 years, actually.
So what has been your general experience as a millennial now in the filmmaking industry for the past 3 years in terms of the challenges in penetrating the film industry and all the rest?
Okay, I wouldn't really call it challenges for me, basically, though. It's actually been quite a very fascinating experience, actually, because getting to build relationships, and also it takes a village to make a movie happen. Every single project I'm on has required me creating some kind of networks that are important, meeting some amazing people, working with incredible talents, from actors to cinematographers and all of that. So it's always been, I've always loved a good challenge. I've always been someone that loves a good challenge. So every of my projects has always been different from the other one. And so it's something that has been a result of my love for challenges, basically. So it's been quite interesting, actually. That's what I would say. Yeah.
So the word is interesting.
Interesting, yeah.
Great. So I see you have a YouTube channel and you have some short films that you have featured on those channels. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Okay, my short film is actually titled My Shot. And actually, it was for something that was done last year about domestic violence. But I thought about telling the story from a different perspective, because usually it's told from the angle of a lady who is abused, and which is actually very, very true. But I thought about focusing on the abuser and then seeing the kind of what actually goes through their mind, because I'm also a psychotherapist by training as well. So I get to listen to a lot of stories about on different cases like that. So I thought about telling the story from the angle of what actually goes through the mind of an abuser in the first place. So it really, really evoked a lot of reactions, a lot of conversations, and it really, really sparked a lot. And that's actually what I want my films to actually do, to make people, to get them talking basically about different things that are of significant importance. So My Shot and also Bathsheba, and I'm working on a movie right now. It's called Just the Two of Us. It's actually a romantic dramedy, and Maggie's my feature-length film that's coming out by next year as well in cinemas. So it's something that is very, very crucial and very, very important. That I feel like it's really, really evoke conversations, basically. Yeah.
Amazing. Speaking about domestic violence, because most times when we hear about domestic violence, it's mostly centered on the women as the victims. But what we don't know is that there are also a lot of male domestic violence victims as well. So it's great that you're throwing more light on that with the help of your movies. I hear you also have a book,
yeah,
How to Be a Man in a Crazy World. So can you tell us more about that, since you're a writer as well?
Okay, first of all, I never ever aspired to write a book, ever in my life, ever.
So how did that happen?
It's quite interesting, because back in school, I used to hold an event called Heroes. It's actually an avenue for men. I felt there were so many incredible avenues for ladies, but hardly anything for men. I felt a lot of men had things they wanted to talk about, which we didn't have the avenue of talking about them. And so We developed heroes, and in our very first meeting, we had over 400 men who came for that meeting, and it was quite interesting because a lot of guys were there for hours. So that actually gave rise to the book. And ladies were like, you know, what you guys talk about, we want to be part of it too. And so I felt, and we actually didn't want ladies around because we wanted guys to actually have their time, you know, together and all that. So that actually gave rise, and also I'd read so many books on men, but most were written by ladies, and which were really awesome books. And I felt a man needed to also add his voice as well as to how men really thought and how many really, you know, responded to life basically. And so that gave rise to the book, How to Be a Man in the Crazy World. Great. And so it's actually in the bookstores and also on Amazon different platforms.
You have soft copies of that too?
For now, no soft copies, just hard copies now for now.
Amazing. So there you have it, people. Mr. Paul Cast, a filmmaker and writer. Thank you for coming on The Weekend Show.
Thank you so much.
We hope to see you on subsequent episodes of the show.
Definitely, yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you for being here. Well, it's a wrap on the Entrepreneur Spotlight on The Weekend Show. I'm Tende Chimelu signing out, and I will be leaving you with a short entertainment musical interlude, and we'll be right back after the short break. Stay tuned.